don't think they're worried about it. Is your microphone on?
Yes, I hear it.
Okay. Oh, that's my headset.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not?
Oh.
My mic, how is my mic not on?
What's going on today
know.
with the mics?
Hello?
The Giants got to him.
Testing.
The
Is my mic
Giants
on?
This is unbelievable. This happens every Thursday.
with Pat.
And only on Thursdays. And our lineup of our show changes on Thursdays because Nuno, our producer, is doing other things for the show on Thursday outside of the actual studio. And there's no other way of saying this other than he must be sabotaging Pat.
Is Nuno the saboteur?
How could
You guys called him out earlier. I don't think he was thrilled, so maybe he's snipping wires.
I just brought
Let's
up his
see.
age. I'm just saying.
Does that work, CC? Your new mic?
I don't know. Does it work?
Yeah, that
Are
one
we good
works.
now?
There
Okay,
we
cool.
go.
Yeah.
I don't know why Nuno is doing this to me.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, this is
I
getting
don't know
strange
what-
now.
It's because he doesn't want you to have to talk about the Giants and
That's
what's
probably
happening
what
right
it
now.
is. He's in
Protecting
denial.
you.
He's in denial about what's going on with our team.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so let's run through this now that you have a microphone here. So the Giants made the decision this week to put Daniel Jones on the bench, okay? Daniel Jones on the bench really because they have not been good this season. He has an injury guarantee for next year. And like the Broncos did with Russell Wilson last year, and like other teams have done with other players across the board, there's a shutdown when you're bad because they don't want to pick up the injury guarantee for next year. So we've had Dexter Lawrence on our show, the star defensive lineman. He has been very open about the fact that he and Daniel Jones are like really close real-life friends.
Yeah.
From prior to the Giants, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So Lawrence came out this week and said, quote, he's the QB1 to me. The best quarterback on the team, Lawrence said, but they see things differently. I guess that's all that matters. It's tough for that benching to happen, Lawrence said. I can't control it. They made the decision based off of their evaluation and thoughts and feelings. You've got to respect it as a player, and even though you don't like it as a player, you have to keep playing as a human and as a brother. I feel bad for him. Well, the decision was made to go from Jones to Tommy DeVito, a.k.a. Tommy Cutlets. What's interesting about that is that Tommy DeVito was not the listed number 2 quarterback. So one would think, like any walk of life, any job, if the quote-unquote starter is out, the backup fills in, not someone that's not actually the backup. Drew Lock was brought in as the backup. Here's what he had to say yesterday about the fact that he was now passed over for that number 1 job.
When they tell you it's based on what they saw last year, like kind of the juice that it gave the team, how do you not wonder, well, why was I the number 2 the whole time then? Why wasn't he the number 2 then, if that's what you saw?
Again, that's a question I might still have for myself. It was expressed to me that I was going to be the 2, and I don't know, it's just an interesting situation. Not much I can really say about it besides, again, I'm gonna be here for him, and we're still communicating, still very good friends, believe it or not. I'm gonna be here for him. This team needs to get a win, and when you start winning, everything gets a little better around here.
So that's a comment by Drew Lock of, I want to work in the NFL next year, and I'm not going to say anything out of line because if I'm not going to play, people are going to now examine my character. And if my character is not good and my play is not that good, I got no shot.
Smart approach by him.
Smart man.
Here's the thing that I would tell you, or I would ask you maybe. I wonder if the New York Giants always looked at Tommy DeVito as their second-string quarterback, but listed him at number 3 because they were worried about the fan outrage if Daniel Jones wasn't good, screaming and yelling for the popular player in Tommy Cutlets. If you put Drew Lock number 2, then they're not going to do it as much.
That's expensive PR. You're talking about a $5 million contract that they gave to Drew Lock.
Yeah.
We're going to use that as the cushion to keep Daniel Jones propped up so there won't be as much fan outrage.
Isn't that what the Browns did by not bringing back Flacco? That they were worried about the idea of the fan outrage against Watson for Flacco.
And how'd that work out?
Terribly.
Well, yeah, but it feels a little justified because Joe Flacco didn't cover himself in glory this year either. And Joe Flacco is, 40 years old?
Understood, but
It's a different dynamic with Drew Lock and Tommy DeVito. Mm-hmm. So if you bought in Drew Lock and you spent $5 million for him to be your backup, why isn't he playing when the starting quarterback is no longer in the lineup? That doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, how
but
would
it
you
just
answer
goes
that
to
then?
show it. Well, mismanagement of resources is how I would explain it. If I'm John Mara, if I'm Steve Tisch, I'm looking at Joe Shane and asking him, what the hell are you doing? Why did we even spend this money to bring Drew Lock in? I get it. It's not your $5 million, but it's my $5 million.
Yeah.
I could think of some other creative ways to use $5 million other than spending it on a player that's not going to play a snap for me. That doesn't make any sense. But to me, this screams of desperation from Daboll and Shane to try to win games down the stretch, to put somebody in the lineup that can give you a spark. But why? Because Tommy DeVito did that exact same thing last year. He started 6 games and won 3 of them when Daniel Jones went down with the ACL injury. They're hoping that Tommy DeVito can give them something tangible in the way of success, something tangible in the way of wins, to try to save their jobs, to try to sell the ownership. See, Daniel Jones is a bigger part of the problem than even you wanted to admit. That is the only way they save their jobs. If Drew Lock steps in there, I don't know that they believe Drew Lock can give the team a spark. And I don't know that Drew Lock being a guy that wins them football games ultimately amounts to Daboll and Shane saving their job the way Tommy DeVito did, because Drew Lock is a free agent. Tommy DeVito is somebody that they found themselves. So I think this is a move for the general manager and the head coach to try to save their gigs.
But if you were so enamored with the spark that Tommy DeVito provided for this team last year, that still doesn't make sense why you would bring in Drew Lock. That still doesn't answer that question. If you felt that good about what he did last year and you feel like he can replicate that, then why wasn't he number 2? Why wasn't he getting all of those reps? That's where I can't fit the circle into the square peg, or the square peg into the round hole. Right?
Whatever. Yeah.
It's confusing.
I can't make sense of it.
But that's the New York Giants. They're confusing.
Wait, so did Tommy DeVito, yes or no question, did Tommy DeVito show you enough last year to earn a spot on any team, forget the Giants, as a number 2 quarterback in the NFL?
Tommy DeVito is a limited passer. And so I think in Brian Daboll's mind, he wanted somebody that had more arm talent, somebody that is more proven in this league in terms of throwing the football down the field. That is not what Tommy DeVito thrived in last year.
Okay, so that's
he was
a
a
no
guy
then.
that would scramble around, make plays with his legs. They were leaning on the running game, and then every now and again he would uncork one. With Drew Lock, he's much more your prototypical passer, somebody that's more in line with the type of player that Daniel Jones is.
So how I take that is no, Tommy DeVito did not show you enough, despite the team's record in games he started last year, to be a full-fledged back.
Tommy DeVito is not going to be a number 2 on anybody else's team going into this year.
Okay, now let's go.
He was not going to be a number 2 quarterback.
So let's go there. So then, based on football, they made the right decision to not have him as a number 2, and this is where the Jets versus Giants and the messiness of this comes in. So based on football, he was not good enough to be a number 2. Based on football, thus we've seen so far, Drew Lock was absolutely good enough to be a number 2 in the NFL.
Yes.
Yet the moment they had an opportunity for a number 2, you're saying $5 million is expensive PR. They went for PR.
Well, I don't know that they went for PR.
Well, then why is DeVito the starter?
But because it's a long shot. This is a big swing for them. Because they have no choice. If you're going to stay the course and go with more of the same in terms of the type of quarterback with that offense, you realize that your offense isn't good enough. You realize that your team isn't good enough. The Giants have the fewest offensive touchdowns in the league. They're looking for something different. They're looking for someone to provide a spark, and they're turning to the local kid. First of all, that engenders some goodwill with the fans, but then also what it does is present something that's very different at the quarterback spot that the offense hasn't had this season.
So average everyday fan that doesn't understand all of the salary cap machinations like you do, CC, somebody who played 11 years, is looking at this and say, wait a minute, even if you're not a Giants fan, you don't care about the Giants, you're like, wait, isn't that the team that let go of Saquon? Yeah, they let him go to the Eagles, their biggest rival. And they wasted $5 million on a quarterback they're not playing? Couldn't they have used that for Saquon? It doesn't always work that way, but I will ask the average everyday fan question of, couldn't they have used that money for Saquon if they wanted him back?
Listen, I'm not going to stand in front of the slings and arrows coming toward Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. You're asking me to make sense of something that don't make sense to me. So I'm not going to sit here and try to put together a cogent argument to defend it, because it's indefensible. The proof is in the product that's
so
on the field.
how are the Giants not the Jets?
Well, we didn't turn over control of the franchise to a 40-year-old quarterback.
But
so
the Jets have been to the conference championship game more recently than the Giants have been. The Giants have been to the playoffs more recently.
What are you talking about? We won a Super Bowl in 2011.
But the Jets when did the Jets make it back to back?
2009, 2010.
Okay, my bad. I apologize. I thought it was after that. My
Don't
bad.
be disrespectful.
Okay. In essence, though, if what's going on with the Giants, they were wearing a Jets uniform, we would sit there and say, same old Jets. Think about it. You have your best player on the team questioning why the coach made the decision to bench the starting quarterback. We have the backup quarterback in the kindest of ways saying, why am I here exactly? And you have critics of the team saying, why are you giving money to this guy when you could have given it to that guy? That's the Jets. They're just wearing Giants uniforms. Like I said. The best fan of the month is brought to you by Dr. Pepper. It's not college football season without the delicious taste of an ice cold Dr. Pepper. College football, it's a pepper thing. Let's give it to our guy, Hodgepack Sports, at the Hodgepack. He always tweets at us. He does a great job every single day listening to the show. We appreciate it. The Dr. Pepper fan of the month at the Hodgepack on Twitter. Coming up, QB's stock market. Who's winning? Who's losing? We'll find out next. We're on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio.
Introduction. Frisco, Texas. The bad news keep piling up for the Dallas Cowboys. After a tough loss to the Houston Texans, the team is now facing a wave of injuries that could impact their lineup for Week 12. Jake Ferguson, a key player in the offense, left the game early due to a concussion, and although he's not officially ruled out, the chances of him playing this Thursday against the New York Giants are slim. Main body. Head coach Mike McCarthy acknowledged the difficult situation for Ferguson, stating that it will be very tough for him to be available. This is just one of the many setbacks that have hit the Cowboys offense in 2024, which was already weakened by Dak Prescott's injury and a growing list of players on injured reserve, including wide receiver Brandon Cooks. The injury woes continue with concerns over Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, and Tyler Guyton, 3 key members of the offensive line. They are all being evaluated medically to determine if they will be able to travel to Washington for the game against the Giants. However, McCarthy remains hopeful that some players may return in time. Defensive injuries and possible returns. On the defensive side, the news is also mixed. Darren Bland, who was activated to the roster 2 weeks ago, is still dealing with the effects of a stress fracture in his foot, but could make his much-anticipated debut in 2024. Additionally, Jordan Lewis, who missed the game against Houston due to a neck injury, is also being closely monitored. To complicate matters further, safety Marquise Bell could also be unavailable as he is dealing with a shoulder issue. Despite these challenges, the Cowboys are still hopeful for reinforcements on both sides of the ball, with expectations that some key players could return soon to help the team. Conclusion: with a 3-7 record and a tough schedule ahead, the Cowboys need several key players back in action to remain competitive. While McCarthy recognizes the logistical challenges posed by the short week leading up to the game against the Giants, the priority is to ensure players are in optimal condition to contribute to the team. Without a doubt, each return could make a crucial difference in the Cowboys season. Stay tuned for updates to see which players manage to recover in time